All right,
man.
welcome back to
Remember,
another. We get this all situated and ready to go. Should be streaming on the Boundaries and Brotherhood platform after I create the post. But I just wanted to say, we thank you for joining us. If you're watching this on TikTok, please encourage people to become the man they truly want to become. I mean, whether that direction, this is why the gap in becoming the 11th man is our topic. And what one of the main topics is how do you do so, right? Doc, revitalize what we're going to go over again. While we get this.
oh man, I don't know if I got that same energy I had before. Can't say. But I can say today we're gonna be talking about bridging the gap, and how to form, good, healthy relationships, and not just like dating and things like that. Actually, I don't know if we're even gonna touch on dating at all, but I'm talking about more so relationships with other guys, so that you can have actually good, healthy growth, right?
Right,
A
right.
safe place to go to share whatever you got going on, where you can get people that will lift you up, and not tear you down. People that understand how you communicate, how you talk, things like that. Like it's important for us to be able to do that, right? It's important for us to be able to have that. So we're going to talk about how to go about doing that.
Right. So let me ask you this. From what you're seeing from your profession, everything, how does becoming the 11th man, in theory, uh, make you want to become a better person in all aspects of your life? Break that down.
Oof. Well, I mean, in theory, I don't even say it's theory, right? Becoming an
Oh,
11th man, you
for
know,
some, it's theory because it's
yeah.
unreachable.
Well, I guess they haven't strived for it, right? So
Right.
I would
Exactly.
say, by being able to implement the strategies that we talk about, being able to be good with yourself, knowing that you're already enough, knowing that you don't have to prove anything to anybody, learning how to communicate, learning how to present yourself physically, learning how to engage the opposite sex, like all these things, by being able to do that, again, you just see changes in all areas of your life. I know
Mm,
that sounds really vague, but if you think about just let's talk about confidence. We started off with confidence when we first got started talking about that, and confidence is the belief that you were going to do the thing you said you're going to do. That's what confidence is, and so just that alone, right? The fact that you could say I'm setting out to do this, and I accomplish it and then do it. That in itself is huge. That can be applied
huge.
to everything. I'm
Huge.
going to make my relationship with my wife better. And this is how I'm going to do it. And you execute on it. I'm going to make my relationship with my kids better. And you execute on it. I'm going to lose this weight. I'm going to start this business. I'm going to make this money. I'm going to whatever it is. Just that alone, having the knowing how to have that confidence, like we talked about before, is life changing in and of itself. You're going to start doing things you didn't even believe you could do. You didn't even think was possible. So, so yeah, I would say like in theory, yeah, but I would say in practice as well, once you start putting these strategies into place, you're going to start seeing that change and you're going to see what it's like to finally become that 11th man.
No, absolutely. You're absolutely correct. Because one of the main things that Doc said, I've been redoing all our videos, right? I'm slowly redoing thumbnails, everything else. And I went back to when we first started. Our videos started out with confidence, understanding what you can become. If you're having problem with anxiety, having stipulations for yourself, not being able to communicate freely and being okay with it, this is what the 11th man theory is about. If you went back and you looked at all the some of the videos that was, I believe, in the third week, it explains what the 11th man is. It's to have that confidence, it's to have that passion, it's to have uh, a masculine energy that people want to gravitate to, that you can actually set your boundaries. This is why we have it's our channel is called Boundaries and Brotherhood, so that you can support one another in each and every endeavors and to bring a fulfillment to what people want to hear. Because if you're cowering, right? If you're cowering and you want to become this person, the 11th man theory and what we have to offer with the courses and everything else, and the workshops and the assessments will get you to another level, but you have to put in the work, like Doc said. Even in his profession, with his professional profession, the work that you have to put in is not going to come overnight. You know what I mean? At anything you do, but you have to take the steps forward. If you're worried about what people think of you and you're looking for outside validation, if you watch the faceless videos I put up, say on this channel, on TikTok, on IG, on everything else, it's to motivate you to become a better person every single day. Now, is it theory? So for some people that never understood it, never strive for it, it's theory. But me and Doc and a lot of my other friends can attest to you that this thing works because we want to be that person everybody gravitates to by having emotional intelligence, right? Understanding what you provide, what you can catch in yourself. And does it take time? Absolutely. It took me years. But what if we could fast track? What if with my insights, with Doc's professional knowledge, what he sees in the space right now, can get you to the point where you can draw your line in the sand, have integrity, and be proud of yourself? How would that make you feel? Right? Oh, did I just go on a whole tangent?
I think you did, man. I think you did.
But I missed Doc because Doc was at Tony Robbins' event last week, and I did one alone. It wasn't. Join the conversation, guys. If you want to join the conversation, leave us a comment, hit a like, hit the notification bell, join the community, and join the conversation. Ultimately, we want to bring you guys on and guests so we can hash shit out.
Yeah. Hear your
Doc, what?
thoughts and opinions on some of these things, you
Yes,
know?
it's a two-way thing because you're not going to have insights from a professional therapist that you can ask questions. You're not going to have insights from somebody that's been through the ringer and back and have the same still be on his game after all these years. Maybe I'm not burnt out enough, or a mental institution, or still in jail. Doc, one thing I wanted to ask you, though, right? How does a person move from, say, not being confident about themselves? We already talked about confidence, validation, having anxiety.
Mhm.
How would that help in their life if they was to apply the practices that we teach and stuff?
What if they were to wait, say it one more
If
time?
they were in a situation, give us a situation like, okay, you might have a man that's doesn't have the emotional intelligence, looking for guidance. What does the 11th man that you provide can get them to where they need to be?
All right. So by being able to put the strategies that we're talking about into place, I guess I just kind of go into a little bit more detail as far as like
Go ahead.
yeah,
Sir. Yes,
as far as
sir.
like confidence is concerned, you know, um being able to establish like I'm going to do the thing I set out to do is a game changer. And it's a game changer because for one, it empowers you. And that's one of the
Mhm.
things that a lot of men struggle with right now is that they don't feel that they have any real power. Right? I know it sounds strange, but you feel like your situation is it just is what it is. Again, like I use the examples, like your marriage, it just is what it is. Your job, it just is what it is. Your finances, your kids, your friendships with your family, all that. A lot of times we just resign ourselves to it. Just is what it is. And more often than not, there's a lot that can be done on our side to have a different outcome. So being the 11th man is someone who is ready to take personal responsibility for his entire life to
Deep.
finally say, hey, if I don't like a situation, I'm going to change it or I'm going to leave it, one or the other, right? But I'm not going to just stay in it. And so by being able to put some of these strategies into place, you can actually start making decisions and moves on things you didn't think you could make decisions and moves on. You might think my wife is just, I know it goes back to relationships, but
So
my wife
true.
is just it's the relationship's always going to be that way, right? But not necessarily true, right? Because you could say, what can I do on my side? She's been talking about therapy. Maybe I need to maybe I can go to therapy, or maybe she's been talking about maybe she's talking about communication. Maybe I can learn I can communicate. Let me read this book. Let me do this challenge. Let me put these principles into place. And so tying all this back into, how we operate in a big tenet of what we do is it's surrounded about confidence, right? It really by putting our stuff into practice, it allows you to be able to start making some pretty radical shifts in your life. And I'm not talking about you have to make these big decisions like, okay, we're gonna sell everything and go live abroad, although that might be something you do, right?
I would-
But it could be something you just waking up and deciding that I don't want this life anymore. I want something different. And I'm going out to get whatever I'm going out to get what I want. I'm willing to do whatever I gotta do in order to get it. Because that's what the 11th man does. He doesn't just put up with foolishness or put up with bad situations. He picks himself up and does something about it. And so that's what you could do when you implement the strategies that we're talking about in these videos.
no, I mean, yeah, absolutely correct. Because a lot of the times men don't have no direction. Like you said, they might be stuck to thinking it is what it is every single day, and it's this mundane task going over and over and over, and you lose your creativity. You might even sometimes you might even lose yourself.
Hmm.
With your kids, your wife, the job, your work, your manager. You don't have no identity no more. The
Hmm.
11th man is the person that's just gonna, you know himself, have the confidence, draw the line. I'll give you a perfect example. In fact, I'll give you a very perfect example because this spurred something up. When I was working on Las Vegas Strip, it's not even a year ago yet, or maybe a year ago, because I quit in October. When I went headfirst into a cab and I thought I broke my neck, and all this things happened to me where I thought I wasn't going to see my kids. I had to go through rehab, all this stuff. And they treated the company, loved the job, loved my guys at work, loved everything, loved what I created there. It was just another phase in my life that provided for me. But when they started to treat me like a number, and I told myself I'll never be treated like a number again because I do have a federal and state number that goes with me all over the place. I decided that I talked to my wife, talked to who I needed to talk to, and I said, I'm gonna just become me and do what I do now. And look what's happening. I got doors opening left and right. I got to partner up, collaborate with a licensed therapist called Dr. Keith Fairclough. Guys, if you need professional help, scan that code right in the back of him. If you need some coaching from me or you want it both together, follow along. Hit that follow button on Boundaries and Brother on YouTube and come watch it in our community. Because if you like it, things can happen. But back to the story, I never got treated with a number, and I walked away from $100,000 a year job. Now I'm not thinking they're making that type of money now on the strip,
Hmm.
but just the fact that, and it turned me into a different person because I knew what I could do. I took some action. I was confident. I said what I'm gonna do, and look at this, Doc. We're 6 months into this channel, a little bit over 6 months. We have analytics, we have communities, we have people reaching out, even though people don't even comment. I know they're watching because they tell me, man, I love what you're doing. Right? And they're like, who's that? Who's your partner? That guy, Doc. I said, oh, he's the therapist from the Real Talk program. He goes, oh, he's real. I said, yeah, he's real. And but let me ask you this question. How does one become confident if you're an unconfident man that always cowering, doesn't stick up for himself, has anxiety, looks for he's a yes man? How does one become that?
Well, I think the first thing is you got to eliminate that fear of rejection, that fear of not being loved.
Ooh,
That's the first
ooh,
step,
ooh.
because a lot of what you just described is the kowtowing to other people and things like that, trying to please other people and being a yes man and all that.
Yeah,
That's a fear of rejection. And the whole idea of rejection is that if I'm rejected, I'm not going to be loved, right? Um, and ultimately, back in the day, that would mean death, right? Rejection meant death. They
correct.
excommunicate you, kicked you out the town, kicked you out the village or whatever. So obviously you're separated off from love, but then also you're separated off from resources as well. And so then you end up getting, you end up dying out, depending on the mindset, right? Some guys would be rejected and go start their own village, right? Go start their own city, then start
Absolutely.
to create an empire, right? That's not, generally what happens, but there are some people who've done that. But ultimately, that's the first thing you got to understand is that you need to stop trying to work for approval. Stop trying to work for love. Stop trying to work
Huge.
for that. That's foundation. I can't tell you how powerful of a change that is when you make that decision. Because when I made that decision, I was like, I can actually be myself. I'm not worried about what
Perfect.
I will lose and what I won't lose or
Yeah.
whatnot. Because here's the truth. The truth is that if people who are going to love you unconditionally, right? They're already not going to reject you. They're already not going to leave you. They're already going to stay with you regardless, right? That's what
Regardless.
unconditional love is all about, right? you know but the people who would reject you and cast you out and not love you, you don't want those people in your circle anyway. So by you finally understanding that concept and recognizing that's addition by subtraction, you want people like that out of your life. You don't want
Absolutely.
someone who's not going to stand behind you. You don't want someone who you have to do the song and dance and all that stuff like that in order to please them and be in their good graces. You don't want that in your life. So by first being able to understand that tenant, like, I don't have to earn love. Rejection's a blessing, right? Because if these people don't want me, that's great because I don't want to be around people who don't want me, right? And
Hmm.
then it
Hmm.
allows you to then start focusing in on the people who actually do care about you and love you. So that's the first step. The second step is you got to get some direction. Where do you want to go? What
Please.
do you want to
Yes.
do?
Yes.
What are you trying to accomplish? Because like you talk
Yes.
about confidence being doing the thing you say you want to do, but if you don't know what you want to do, you can't do anything, and therefore you can't be confident, right? Confidence is just that. I've said I'm going to do something, and I'm going to do it. I said I'm going to remain, even if it's like I'm going to be myself regardless. Then I'm going to do that. That's what builds your confidence, right? And so that's the second step, right? Understand you know what you want to do. Like get some direction, get around some men, who can pour into you. Sign up with us. Whatever you need to do, but find a way to get some direction in your life so you know where you're trying to go, what you're trying to do, what you're trying to accomplish, and who you're trying to serve as well, right? Because whatever your passion
True.
is, whatever you're doing, you should be serving somebody. No one's passion is designed to serve themselves. We're all designed to serve somebody else. And that's the beauty of like
100.
capitalism
Yep.
because the system, of course, taking all the corrupt people. Yes, we know there's people that corrupt the system, but I'm talking about
Mm.
the purest sense of it is I'm providing value to other people and they're trading their money for that value. And it's a system. I'm giving you a fair price and you're paying that fair price. That's what we're supposed to do. So in any case, I'm not going to economics and things like that, but I'm just trying to say as you find out what you want to do, it should be adding value to somebody else's life. It's not just about you. Right. And then the third thing is, competency, right? Because here's the thing. Confidence plus competence equals capacity. Capacity is your ability to do more, right? So competency is you learning, taking time to learn, get skills, improve, read, watch videos. Like that's your opportunity to build and become a better man, right? So now you add that your decision to do the thing you're gonna say you're gonna do. You add your competency to that, and it increases your capacity. Now you're a better man. Now you have more knowledge. Now you have expanded your horizons. Now you can reach out for more. Now you can set new goals, start all over again. And now it's okay. Now instead of I don't want to just start one company, I want to start 10 companies. I'm going to start 10 companies, and I'm going to do the thing I say I'm going to do. And I'm going to learn now how to start 10 companies, and that's going to build my capacity, and then I move on to do more and more and more. So long story short, that's the path you want to take as far as like becoming the man and having that confidence. That's what it looks like. So the first thing, understand, don't fear rejection. Rejection's a blessing. That's the first thing. Second, get some direction in your life so you know what you want to do and where you want to go, right? Third, set some goals. What are you trying to do, right? So you can actually put your confidence into practice. The fourth, build your competency, learn, grow, whatever you got to do to
Right.
do that. Learn and grow. That increases your capacity, and you just rinse and repeat in the cycle. And that's how you continue to grow. And success begets success. And then put in whatever, whether it's your finances, whether it's your relationship, whether it's your health, whatever it is, it's the same exact thing. You just rinse and repeat and do it over and over again, and then boom.
No,
Not only will you
absolutely.
become the 11th man, but before it's all said and done, you'll see yourself training other men to be the 11th man.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Yeah.
Because guys, I mean, the gap between what the 11 man, what we preach or what we try to push or what it is if you're stuck in your job and you're just a mundane worker, but you want something more, right? This is what me and Doc do. If you're a person, if you're a man, you're stuck in being unconfident about taking the first step. This is what we provide to you so that you can have the life that you have on the other side. For you, it might be different. For me, it might be being spending more time with my family. For you, you might be trying to run a full-blown multi-billion-dollar company using AI with 5 employees. That can be done in today's world right now. Trust me, it can be done. We're doing it right now. And if you're tired of failing and looking for outside validation and you're being a yes man to your friends, I'm going to tell you with one step. If you do one thing, try saying no to somebody one time today, thinking that they want to say yes. Grow a set of balls sometimes. Try put that sand in line and say, no, I can't help you today, even though because they're just abusing you, right? The 11 man is the person that didn't do what the other 10 men, but became the leader because of the qualities Doc just mentioned. And I'm not saying be an asshole about it. I'm just saying, become the better person overall and treat people right and push people up and support them. This is what we do because we want to support you in any endeavor. And sometimes you have to start with this, the mindset and what you got going on first before you can even move on. If you want to start a multi-million dollar company, but you don't have nobody buying in, you have a confidence problem, right? If you're trying to be a salesman, the top salesman at a car fleet, and you don't know how to pitch and you don't know how to close, maybe we need to talk to you also because that could be solved by what Doc has to offer. Guys, if you don't have these qualities and you want these qualities, scan that code right behind Doc. If you're watching this on TikTok, you want to see us live on YouTube and see what Doc really is because some of the information. Oh, look, I got comments going on. They miss me at the Cosmo. But understand that, there's more to life than just being on this mundane rat race, the wheel, right? I get it. You want to pay your bills up. But what happens when you live in regret? When you're 57, I'm taking my case, you're 57 years old, you've outlived your best life, but I'm planning for the future for my kids with Doc. The legacy I'm leaving with Doc right here is what kind of mark am I leaving in the world? My whole life after prison has been about redemption. Doc, you think I redeemed myself by doing these things? That's an 11th man
That's
move.
Giving back, absolutely, absolutely. You look at like Paul the Apostle. That's what he did, right?
Yeah.
He spent a good portion of his life, especially when Christianity kind of took off. He was killing Christians, right? He was throwing them in jail, men, women, children, all types. Like he was hunting them down. Spent the rest of his life after that giving back, and pouring out. I would definitely say Paul was an 11th man for sure, right? Um, and he definitely did the things he said he was going to do, like for sure. I mean, of course, God guided him, but who cares? We're not going to get into a Bible study here. But long story short, and talk about redemption, you know, um, yeah, absolutely.
Talk to
That's
us about how does an 11th man serve? You talked that really hit me when you talked about how the 11th man serves.
yes. So the 11th man, he gives his all, right? He knows
Nice.
what he is here to do. He knows what he's designed to do, and he gives his all in that thing. And so I'll give you a perfect example. I went to the Tony Robbins conference, Business Mastery, this past week. Phenomenal, by the way. And they didn't pay
Absolutely.
me to say that. It really, really, really was an incredible, incredible experience. Um, but and it's one thing to watch a video, but to see him
No,
in
in person.
person,
Yep.
it's incredible, right? But he doesn't have, and that's the thing, he doesn't have to do this anymore. He could have stopped 10, 20 years ago, right?
No.
And there are plenty of other people that could have came and filled the gap, but he could have stopped. He doesn't do it because I need to make more money or anything like that. No, he does it because I'm trying to help people. I'm trying to give back. I'm trying to add as much in value as I humanly possibly can. And that's the 11th man mindset. But you don't have to be a multimillionaire or a billionaire to do that,
No.
right?
No.
How can you add more value in your own home? Maybe you need to do the dishes. Maybe you need to wash some clothes. Maybe you need to read your kids a bedtime story. Maybe you need to, bathe the kids at the night, or maybe it's something like that. It doesn't have to be a massive thing, but an 11th man is always looking to add value wherever he goes, in every and any situation, even outside of what his passion and purpose is. But the idea is I'm always trying to give back. I'm always trying to add more value. I'm always trying to build up because that is what a leader does. An 11th man is a leader. And so a leader is always asking the questions, how can I improve? How can I do better? Why? Not just for myself, but so I can serve others. I can serve my wife. I can serve my kids. I can serve my employees. I can serve my community. I can serve my church. I can serve whoever I need to serve better. Right. So that's what 11th man does. And that's how exactly, like I said, they add that value, right? That the 11th man is constantly adding value. And that's why it's so important to know what your purpose is. Like I said, you could add value in other areas, but you'll never add them as much value as when you find out what your purpose is, what your passion is, and you go all in on that, right? Because as Tony Robbins was saying, it's not a push, there's a pull. You're pulled to that, and then so
Yep.
you're not forced to do it. It's just you're drawn to it. So That's what I would say as far as that's concerned.
Yeah, because if gentlemen, people watching this on the replay, people watching this on YouTube live in the comments and everything else, right? Drop a comment. Tell us if you agree with this stuff or not. Because becoming that person, it does not come overnight. It comes from experience and finding that purpose and serving who that audience or person that you said, like Doc said. How do you become better every single day? This is what I do. How can I become better every day? I did it in prison. I did it before prison. Did it as a CEO. Did it as a salesman. Did it as a bellman. Did it as a doorman. Did it as everything else. Did it even when I'm serving the process with the Real Talk program, right? Even when we work with Doc, because when you look into people's eyes, right? And I've been around enough, man. Especially when that's all you can do is study men when you're sitting on a bench and watching stuff. You get to know behaviors and you get to know facial reaction and people what their purpose is for. If you don't have no purpose, please reach out. If you're unconfident on where you're going in life, please reach out. If you want a life that you figured out that I know I can do it, but you're missing a piece, reach out to me and Doc. Leave a comment on the replay. If you're watching on TikTok, go on YouTube and look us up. You're gonna see all the replays and the playlist, even the highlight reels, right? It's a way for you to understand that there's much more to life than doing nothing and being one of the 10 that came before you. How are you gonna stand out, right? How do you stand out? Like Doc said, he went to a business mastery, right? It's to see that man in person, almost losing his voice and his stature, he has presence. You can tell. We want you guys to have that type of same presence in a baby field, in your own life, whatever you choose to do it, right? Doc, how does one use this concept, the 11th man angle? Guys, if you don't know, the 11th man is just the angle we're using so that you can become the leader of, say, whatever you got going on. How does one become this person if they're stuck?
Well, I mean, you have to answer the question. Are you really stuck?
But some people
are you really stuck? Or you just not ask yourself the right questions?
The right
are you
question.
really stuck?
Correct.
Or are you still operating in fear?
Beautiful.
Are you really stuck? Like we live in a day and age where you can't use that excuse anymore.
True.
I'm
You have
sorry, like
everything. Yeah,
no
you have
disrespect
everything.
to anybody, but there's no reason for you to be stuck at all. None.
Excuses.
You have it's an excuse, right? An excuse is and all an excuse is a lie you're comfortable telling yourself. That's all. That's all an
Correct.
excuse is. It's a
Ooh,
lie.
that's deep.
You know it's a lie that you're comfortable telling
That's
yourself.
deep.
That's it. Right. So there's really no reason to be stuck. Like we say those things, but like one of the things, like, did you really try everything? Did you reach out to everybody? Did you really go all in on all the advice you've ever received in your entire life and that nothing's ever worked? I doubt it. I highly, highly doubt it. That you really gave your 100% all in every single piece of advice that was given you and you're still stuck. Yeah, no, I don't buy it. I don't buy it.
I mean,
So
I'll give you a perfect one, right? Okay, in fact, hey, stop to go ahead. I'm sorry.
yeah. No, I was just gonna say, as far as like someone saying that they're stuck, you're not stuck. You just haven't decided to move forward. That's what it boils down
That's
to.
the flip side. I mean,
Yeah.
that's the excuses.
Yeah,
Like
you
you
just
can
you haven't
ask.
decided to move forward, right? Because I've had situations, I've been in situations where I didn't know what I was doing, or I didn't know how to grow and excel. But what did I do? I started reading. I started looking around.
Mm,
I attended a conference. I got a coach. And guess what happens? Once I start doing what they're saying to do, things happen. There'll be times I'll be on a prayer walk and I'm complaining about something. God's like, but you didn't even do the thing you were told to do. So why are you complaining? You didn't even go all like you were supposed to. So why are you sitting here complaining? I'm like, zip, that's it. Like there's nothing else left to say. So we're not really stuck. We're not really
never
stuck.
stuck.
We just
Never
haven't made a
stuck.
decision to move forward. That's it.
The only time I'll give you the only time you're stuck is if you're in the box. That's when it's too late.
Yeah.
But even from a person coming from prison and my background, even while you're doing years, 10, 15, 20, 5 years, whatever it is, you're never really stuck. It's
Hmm.
just where do you put your mind and what you're going to do after, and you execute that plan that you had for yourself, right? When don't get it twisted. you can have your bad days. You can make up your excuses. You can make, but you have so many things at your fingertips right now that you can ask a chat GPT, an LLM, a Gemini to tell you how we're going to get stuff. They're going to give you an exact blueprint. It's up to you whether you're going to do it. What me and Doc do is we're going to enhance, because the difference between what a coach and a mentor does is a mentor will tell you what to do. A coach will pull the best out of you, right?
Yeah.
I will pull the best out of you because I see potential. And if I don't see potential, because that's one of my gifts and I can guide you in the right place, I've done it for so many people. It's just a matter of what we're going to do for you, right? Let me ask you this now, quick, Doc. Give us a story of maybe, say, a client that may have came to you and you used this 11th man to kind of get him out of a rut or out of a struggle, and how it worked, if you have a story.
Um, I would say, I was actually talking with someone yesterday.
Nice.
I was talking with someone yesterday, and we were discussing. I try to keep it because confidentiality and everything like that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but we were talking about some of just how they think, right, and the whole idea of being stuck in these different thought patterns, right, and really just by him being able to take responsibility and recognize that, oh shoot, I do let some of these things fly, right? I do let the negative rumination continue, and I feed into it, and because I feed into it, it makes it worse. So
Oh,
him being
okay.
able to take that responsibility, like, yeah, that's me doing that. Guess what he now can do? He can do the opposite. Instead of even not even in entertaining the negative thoughts, I shut them down and I only entertain the positive thoughts, right? And the positive questions, things are going to drive me in the right direction. Because that could be
Okay.
also another issue a lot of guys have, is you're too busy entertaining negative thoughts. And there's no need to ever entertain a negative thought. And so, Bob, so essentially, by you, what I'm saying this to say, to implement the 11th man strategy, again, that part of it is taking personal responsibility and recognizing what you can do instead of staying in a place of helplessness or learn helplessness, but realize, oh shoot, I am engaging with this. I don't have to engage with this line of thinking. I can engage with this line of thinking and ask better questions that actually get me to where I want to go.
Right, right,
So
right. I mean,
that's a yeah.
that is huge. I mean, part of, that I would think that one of the main aspects of that, accountability, is one of the main ones. If you don't take accountability for yourself and what you're doing, you're making excuses, you're going to keep doing the same old crap, right? It took a lot out of me to actually take responsibility for my actions when I was a younger man, I would say. I try to do it now. Don't get me wrong, I'm not perfect. But but at the same time, you know, accountability is, all I can do is take accountability for myself and move in the direction that I want to go for the solution that I'm trying to get to. Whether it's
Yeah.
having my kids open the door for a person, or my 3-year-old would open the door and say please and thank you and yes sir ma'am, because that's respect, right?
Yeah.
Because those are things that's being lost nowadays, right? And taking accountability, and I said, when you take accountability, even though he's still 3, his accountability is throwing away his candy wrapper into the trash, but it's
Yeah.
teaching him something.
Hmm.
When accountability reaches to your age where you want to become more confident in everything else that you do and become this 11 man me and Doc is talking about, you need to have a checklist, right? If you're having, Doc, what would be the 5 problems not being this 11th man that you can think off the top of your head?
Just 5 problems.
I mean, give me the top 5 that you see.
Well, so what I'll do, I'm going to go based off of the my model, of the things that we can work on, like spiritual, physical, mental, emotional, financial. And
See?
so, financial, you're never going to reach the levels of wealth that you need to, right? Unless, well, I will say this, unless, because there are some systems, if you just do the system, you can still make a lot of money, but you still won't be the 11th man. There are a lot of very wealthy men out there that still are not sure of themselves. They still
No, I
have
was just
terrible
about to
relationships
say.
and things
Yep.
like that.
I was
So,
just about to say.
But however, generally speaking, most people don't necessarily know those strategies and skills.
Okay.
And so therefore they don't fit that mold. Those are more so the
Okay.
exception, not the rule. So generally speaking, if you don't become the 11th man, yeah, your finances are going to suffer because you're always going to be operating below what you possibly could. Right. So that's the first thing, physically, your body's going to suffer 100%. Right. You're not going to necessarily be in shape. You're not going to be taking your health and stuff seriously. Again, it's going to be like, well, this is just the way I am. I'm big boned or whatever you'd want to tell yourself. Right.
Big
You
boned.
know,
Okay.
I don't know if people still say that
I
anymore,
hate that saying.
but
I hate that
that,
saying.
that, that was huge
Get
back
in
in
the
the day.
gym.
You
Get on the mat. Do something. Go
know?
punch a bag. Do
Yeah.
something.
So your health is going to suffer, right? And not just even the weight or your aesthetics, but like even internally, right? Heart disease, certain cancers, like it's just there's things that can happen in your health that are pretty serious, by not following these strategies, right? um Mentally, right? You know, the way you think, right? You're always gonna be thinking in the negative. You're always gonna be thinking with the victim mentality.
Ooh,
Cannot make
man.
progress in anything
Man.
with a negative victim mentality. You just can't. You make no progress like that. And
Right.
so therefore that's going to suffer. And obviously if you can't think and if your brain's the most powerful force that you have inside of you right now, um, and you can't even use it because you're always thinking negative or you're using it in a negative way, then of course you're not going to make any progress. Of course your relationships are going to fail. Of course you're not going to get the job. Of course you're not going to be able to perform well in the sport. Of course you're not going to be able to stick to the things you want to stick to because the way your mentality is all thrown off, right? And
Right.
so then the fourth thing, emotional, right? Um, as far as that's concerned, right? You're always going to be experiencing unpleasant emotions. You're not going to be able to process anything. You're going to be stuck just reliving the same emotions over and over and over and over and over again and wondering why you're depressed and wondering why you're suicidal. Wonder why
Yep.
you
Yep.
want to give up and wondering why because you don't even understand the messages the emotions are giving you and you're spending more time trying to drink them away and smoke them away and run away and distract yourself and all these things instead of just taking the time to get to learn some emotional intelligence and understand what the emotions are telling you so you know how to respond appropriately, right? It's what I say. I said physical, spiritual, mental, emotional, financial. I haven't touched spiritual yet. So
Spiritual. Yeah.
the last one, spiritual. Your spiritual life is going to suffer. And then I don't know, everyone's in different religions or whatnot, but I can tell you this, if you're having all those other things like the negative mindset and things, you're not going to believe whatever the promises, whatever your religion has given you. You're not going to believe the promises of God. You're not going to believe the promises of Allah. You're not going to live by those standards. You're going to be like, well, it can't be me. I can't do that. That's for the other people. Oh, that's for, this person. They're so much better, yada, yada, yada. You're going to be putting yourself down. So, if you don't employ our strategies, then yeah, this is kind of what you have to look forward to. There's not really any upside. There's no upside to not being the 11th man. It's just a lot of downside, And if you think like, oh well, I'm an alpha male and I'm doing all this and I'm sleeping with women and I'm a real man, yada yada yada, but you're dead on the inside and you know it and we know it and everybody knows it. That's why you're living and living life the way you're living it. That's just
Right.
a fact, right? You're empty on the inside, you can't and you can't escape it. You can't jump from enough beds. You can't make enough money. You can't drink enough booze. You can't smoke enough weed. You can't build enough businesses to escape yourself. So
Oh,
again,
that's
all
deep.
that outside stuff doesn't
Yeah.
make a
Outside
hill of
stuff.
beans difference. It doesn't. It's the internal state. The 11th man, it manifests all these things, all the positive. He manifests that by fixing the internal state, knowing that who I am, what I'm here to accomplish, what I have to offer. The
Yeah.
fact that I don't need to put on for anybody else. I can be my full authentic self. I don't need to pretend like and they live congruently and they're able to lay their head down at night peacefully, right? So I would say,
Deep.
yeah, if you're
Deep.
those are the
Deep.
five things on top of my head that if you don't follow our strategies, if you don't take this on, then yeah, I don't really see what kind of quality of life you truly are going to have when it's all said and done.
Right.
Money
Right.
or no money.
No, I mean money is just money is money. It's like I said, money is just a tool to either enhance you or cover up your flaws. Either way, if you're not doing enough, I got people that's been in prison with me that watching this. What's up, chops? And then figure out, you know, if you're not spiritually contained, if you're financially not even the money ain't gonna matter because it's only covering up your imperfection, right? I've done it. I blew through $1 million like it was no tomorrow at one point in my life. But it's like because I wanted to be validated from other people. Where did it get me? Nothing. It got me in prison, right? When I'm happy with myself and I don't care what nobody else is thinking about or telling me about it, especially with these social media times, right? I come out of a 14-year sentence and the phone talks to me and I have to learn all this new tendencies and how the modern man works. But everybody wanna look at the alpha male and what they do. I look at them as how many alpha males I've been one. I can say I've been one. I've been that asshole covering up all my flaws, not even having purpose, not serving anybody, not taking accountability for everything. And that, guys, that's the hardest part. That's the one that got, when you say accountability, accountability took me years to admit I was the mess up of it all. Once I did that, I could move forward. I could move on, right? And then, like you said, the money, like I said, I have friends, like I got the keys for the $1 million houses. It's like, it doesn't get me anywhere. You got to be happy with yourself, the small friends that you keep around, and stop scrolling on this thing thinking that's going to save you, right?
Mhm.
You use it to your advantage to it because coming from Doc, he sees this on a professional level. I see it from a different angle. This is why the 11th man stuck for both of us. The 11th man is not a thing. The 11th man is an embodiment of who you become in the future by if you address all these things correctly, right? Holy smokes, Doc. We went through 40 minutes like it was no tomorrow.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
This is what we do. Love it, love it, love it. Guys, let me say this. You see that scan code right behind Doc? If you want to reach out to him professionally and then see if you need somebody or you need somebody that needs some help, right? Scan that code. If you want to join the community, leave us a comment. We do have a school community now at boundariesandbrother.a3. If you're going to see it at the top here, or you're going to see some of the end cards that's coming up, click the link. Reach out. If you have an assessment, we're going to have workbooks, workshop, courses, checklists, things that can be done for you to reach the level you want to be at. But you got to let us know, right? Doc, give us some closing comments or give us a story. I like Doc stories.
Sort of.
Doc stories is cool because it's all about some weird stuff sometimes or
Uh,
some deep thought stuff.
gosh, a story.
Story time with Doc. That's gonna be like a
Story time.
session.
I
Yeah.
have to conjure one up for myself. Oh man, a story. Uh,
A story where how you implemented some of the stuff that we talk about.
Um, okay. Well, I can give you guys a story about just a story about myself when it comes
Absolutely.
to injuries and things of that nature. So when I was 16, I injured my shoulder, tore my labrum,
Okay.
and never got it fixed or anything like that. For a long time. And so what ended up happening was it was still obviously becoming an issue as time went on. I went to this, that was at church, and this guy was supposed to be this healer guy, and he was supposed to pray over my shoulder, um, and he you prayed over it, and then said, "Hey, you need to stop lifting weights." And I'm like, that's
That's not going to happen.
defeats the purpose, right? I mean,
Yeah.
if I'm healed, then why would I stop lifting weights? That doesn't make any sense. So I said, okay, that's not that, right? And then eventually, I went to a doctor, and the doctor was like, "Oh yeah, you have the shoulder of a 70-year-old." I'm like, "Oh, that's
Oh,
great news." Um, and so for him, he was like, "Yeah, you're not going to be really able to play sports or lift or do that stuff. You can, take on like walking and low impact
oh,
stuff."
geez.
I said, "Well, that's not going to happen."
Yep.
Um, and so eventually I ended up linking up with a doctor, right? Who linked me up with the physical therapist, who linked me up with another doctor. And the long story short, we were able to get my shoulder repaired, right? Not
Nice.
since re-injured it. But then you actually to answer your question, like how does this all tie into the 11th man? Because the 11th man is confident in himself and he knows that, hey, this isn't right. Now, see, it was this evangelist guy who was a spiritual authority telling me that I need to stop. It was a doctor with a medical degree and all the years of experience. He was telling me I need to stop and I won't be able to do it anymore. And so the 11th man is not someone who just takes what people say and just runs with. Like, and again, like I said in the beginning, well, I guess that's just the way it is. I have to resign my life to just, walking dogs and, and gardening and things like that. Like that wasn't the play, right? I went on to keep working out. I went on to play tackle football. I went on to like keep going forward, and working and playing on a semi-pro team and all these things like that. Continue to work out and things of that nature. Like, the 11th man doesn't just stop because people say you should stop. They don't just
No,
stop
yeah,
just
bring yourself
because
up.
everyone else is a naysayer. They don't just stop because other people are putting their all limitations on you. The 11th man says, "Yeah, no, I don't receive that. Sorry, I just don't receive it. Period. I just don't." And so that's the importance of becoming the 11th man, because once you become the 11th man, you shed all the shackles and break them all off of you, so that you're not bound by other people's limiting thoughts and beliefs anymore. And it could be people in your own circle, people who love
Yeah.
you, care about you, want the best for you, that have put their own limitations on you. But once you become the 11th man, you'll recognize that you'll start recognizing that's your limitation. That's not my limitation. Matter of fact, I don't have any limits, right? I mean, even if I hit a wall, I'm gonna find a way to get through that, over that, under that, or over that, like whatever I gotta do. But I'm not listening to your thoughts about that and your limitations. And so that's what I would say as far as that story, making sure that
Yeah.
to become the 11th man, it frees you and empowers you and allows you to be exactly as God designed you to be, which is free, which is full, which is powerful, which is authentic. And you can't get that by all these other means of trying to be something we're not, or trying to live below what we're supposed to be. Right. And so that's what we're here to do, help to kind of draw that out of you so that you could be the man you're supposed to be and make the impact you're supposed to make. Because the thing is, if you don't become the 11th man, you cannot make the impact that you're designed to make. If I didn't start working on becoming the 11th man and get to this point, I would have never made a YouTube video. I would have never been able to help people. I would have been working for other people. I would have never
Yep.
branched out. I would have never done anything like this. I would have never went to a Tony Robbins conference. Would have never sat there around with like millionaires and things like that. I would have never been able to experience any of these things if I wasn't working on becoming the 11th man and continue to refine myself and become better and better. And now I'm at the point now where I don't have all the major stuff that was in the way before is gone. Now I'm doing the granular work to find out, okay, where
Small
are
stuff. Yep.
the small
The
limiting
small stuff.
beliefs that are still holding me back? Because there's still like these little things like the within me that I don't even know they're there. And it's not until sometimes some people bring them up or they might come up. I'm like, oh shoot, I thought that was gone. So that's the point. I'm constantly refining and becoming the absolute best version of myself and have no plans on stopping. And so I would say that like by following this and doing what we're talking about, you'll become the 11th man. You can get to the point where all that major stuff is gone and all you're doing is refining yourself, make yourself better and better and better.
Beautiful.
Right. And yeah, you can just be everything God has called you to be, like you're supposed to be, right? Like,
Beautiful. Beautiful
yeah,
way to end this.
yeah.
Guys, I just wanted to say, guys, all the way back home, my Usos, my brothers from back in the islands, you guys know how we do it around here. I mean, we got trying to help men become the best they can be. You mean, and who better than to do it than between somebody that's been through the ringer? Some of you guys know my personal story. Some of you guys in here know me personally. You guys got Doc, a professional therapist working together with me to collab on things that can help you become the best that you can be. Guys, I wanted to say aloha. See you guys next week, Thursday, same time. Me and Carrie comes on Tuesday. His Bound Golden Watt from Boundaries and Brotherhood. I'll catch you next week. Doc, end it.
All right, you guys take care. It's Dr. Keith Fairclough. Remember, put these things into practice.
Please.
Become the 11th man. You got people relying on you. People that are waiting for you to step up and be who you're supposed to be. Right? People waiting for you to give them permission to let their light shine, to them be themselves. So be the 11th man. Do that work. Keep coming back, and we'll see y'all next time.
Guys, aloha. I'll see you guys later. Bye. Beep, 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 beep. Oh, last week was so funny because I was the part we was talking about all the stuff we was doing. We
Mhm.
recorded it.
Oh.